Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe right now. You're going to hear in a couple of seconds. Actually, stay tuned on this channel. Could be a couple of minutes. You will hear President Trump's victory speech for a total and complete domination. A total and complete domination on Super Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. So hit subscribe to this channel. This is a celebration live stream. Trump dominated. He will win in November. Everything that I have been saying, ladies and gentlemen, every single thing I have been saying about the Supreme Court is coming true. I said it would be a 9-0 unanimous victory for Trump. Did I not say that? It happened. And I've been telling you this for a long, long time. And I watched the segment today. He's going to get an historic immunity decision in his favor. Okay, he's able to perform a speech. If President Obama and Bush and others, mainly Obama and Bush, can destroy countries and not face any legal repercussions, Trump will be given immunity for a speech, at least partial immunity, which will completely dismantle the DC case, which is already they're going to have to wait until after November, and then Trump will dissolve and do away with the highly partisan, completely despotic special counsel. The special counsel was only there to interfere in 24, as are all the indictments that Trump's going to get basically circumvent easily. Not one indictment will stick, and he won't spend even 1 second in prison or jail. Okay, so everything that I have been telling you regarding the Supreme Court, regarding Trump's victory today and definitely in November, has taken place or will take place. Nikki Haley, and you'll hear Nikki Haley in a moment, and you will hear former President and future President Donald Trump speak in a couple of minutes, but hit subscribe. This is an historic day. He had an immunity victory. So I'm going to explain to you in about 30 to 40 seconds exactly why Trump has complete momentum going into November. And to my super chat, Paul Bartlett in Australia, Nicholas in Australia, thank you so very much. To my viewers in the Philippines, in Canada, in the UK, throughout the world, Sweden, Nepal, Nigeria, thank you so very much. Korea, thank you so much for watching. I'm blessed to have you watch. And definitely, of course, in the United States, hit subscribe. In 30 seconds, I'm going to explain. Number one, I told you that the Supreme Court would hear the case on immunity. The Supreme Court is now hearing the case on immunity, and that's going to push the trial past November, and November he wins and dissolves the special counsel. Number two, because that's what despots and authoritarians and totalitarians do. They go after the direct political rivals, okay? Which is what Democrats are doing to Trump, okay? Number two, I said that there would be a unanimous, in Iceland, hello, another day, thank you for watching in Iceland. I told you that there would be a unanimous Supreme Court decision. There was a unanimous Supreme Court decision, a historic rebuke, a complete and utter refutation of an unconstitutional ban in Colorado. So that took place. I'm telling you, in the next couple of days, maximum the next couple of weeks, you're going to see Nikki Haley back Trump. This is an article from not long ago. Haley DeSantis promised to protect Trump. So that was a sign that very soon, Earl, thank you. Well, she will in a couple of days. So in a couple of days, maximum a couple of weeks, but it could be tomorrow, Earl. Could be tomorrow. She will drop out. Okay? Thank you, Earl, so much. And Paul and everybody here. They've already telegraphed that they're going to endorse Trump. I mean, DeSantis has already endorsed Trump, and Haley will endorse Trump. Nikki Haley will endorse Trump. Just like I told you, the Supreme Court would be a 9-0 victory. You can watch the segments. I kept doing the same segment over and over again. I said it's going to be unanimous. It was unanimous. It was historic. It upheld democracy, the Constitution. When Democrats talk about democracy, they have redefined the word as whatever is good for their political party. You're talking about an actual cult. You're talking about people who want to dissolve the Supreme Court because they don't get what they want. Hit subscribe. We're going to listen right now. Let's just see if President Trump is... Let's see if President Trump is speaking yet. We'll get to... Oh, here he is.
Flown in from ports unknown. Migrants were flown in. Airplane, not going through borders, not... And our country has never been... That there's never been one like this. There's never been anything so conclusive. This was an amazing night, an amazing day. It's been an incredible period of time in our country's history. It's been sad in so many ways, but I think it's going to be inspiring because we're going to do something that, frankly, nobody's been able to do for a long time. We've watched our country take a great beating over the last 3 years, and nobody thought a thing like this would be possible. We wouldn't have Russia attacking Ukraine. We wouldn't have Israel being attacked. Iran, as you know, was broke. When I was running things, they were broke. They didn't have money for Hamas. They didn't have money for Hezbollah. We had no inflation. Inflation is destroying the middle class. It's destroying everything. Inflation, if you look back over the history, hundreds of years back, it's called inflation. It's called a country buster. And that's what it's doing to our country. What's happened with inflation has been unbelievable. A lot of people say, a lot of experts have said the stock market's the only thing that's doing well, and that's doing well because our poll numbers are so much higher than Joe Biden's. He's the worst president in the history of our country. There's never been anything like what's happening to our country. Today it was announced that 325,000 people were flown in from ports unknown. Migrants were flown in. Airplane, not going through borders, not going through that great Texas barrier that I was with the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, the other day, and we were looking at the job they're doing. But in the meantime, they're pouring into California, and they're pouring into Arizona, because those governors aren't doing anything. They're doing nothing. But today it was just announced before I came out. It was unbelievable. I said, that must be a mistake. They flew 325,000 migrants, flew them in over the borders, into our country. So that really tells you where they're coming from. They want open borders, and open borders are going to destroy our country. We need borders, and we need free and fair elections, or we don't have a country. This is an incredible group of people. So many celebrities that I'm not going to introduce any because I'm just going to get myself in trouble if I do that, because I'll leave out most of you. But this is a room chock full of incredible, talented people, like some of the guys standing right in front of me, right? Big futures, big, fat, beautiful futures. Oh, I'd love to be your age. I'd pay you a lot of money to be your age. But we have some tremendously talented people in this room, including tremendously talented political people that have helped me right from the beginning. We had the safest border in the history of our country. We built 571 miles of wall. We had Mexico supply us with 28,000 soldiers because we wanted them, that's why. And they said, we won't do that. I said, yes, you will, you will. And in the end, they did. It was an easy negotiation, but we had the safest border, the best numbers we've ever had, and now we have the worst numbers probably in the history of the world. It's sad to see what's happening to our cities. Our cities are being overrun with migrant crime, and that's Biden migrant crime. but it's a new category of crime, and it's violent, where they'll stand in the middle of the street and have fistfights with police officers, and if they did that in their countries from where they came, they'd be killed instantly. They wouldn't do that. So the world is laughing at us. The world is taking advantage of us. 3 years ago, we were at a level, we were energy independent. We were going to be very shortly energy dominant. And today we're getting oil from Venezuela. Can you believe it? And we're doing numbers on that oil. You know what we're doing? We're refining the oil. We have our refinery for that oil. It's really, I call it tar. It's not oil. It's terrible. We have real stuff. But we're refining it in Houston. So for all of the environmentalists, you ought to look at that, because all of that tar is going right up into the atmosphere. You just ought to take a look. It's the only plant that can do it. We have the only plants that can take tar and make it into oil, and that's what it is. It's a shame. But we were energy independent. We were going to be energy dominant. We were going to be supplying oil to Europe, all over the world, and then a tragic thing happened during the election. It was a tragedy, because you wouldn't have, think of it, all of the problems that you have today, I don't think you would have had any of them. You'd only have success, and that's what's ultimately going to unify this country and unify this party. We have a great Republican Party with tremendous talent, and we want to have unity, and we're going to have unity, and it's going to happen very quickly. And I have been saying lately, success will bring unity to our country, and it happened before. We had the best economy our country's ever had, and people were calling me that I would have said will never happen. It'll never happen. They wanted to get together, African American, Asian American, Hispanic. Is the single most important day in the history of our country. We're going to take it, and we're going to make it like it should be, respected. Right now, we're not respected. Right now, our country is known as a joke. It's a joke. Other leaders who I speak to, other leaders can't believe what happened to us, because 3 years ago, we were the most respected country anywhere in the world by far. We were doing things that nobody could believe. Billions and billions of dollars. In 25 years, they paid us nothing, zero, not 10 cents. I was getting billions of dollars, and they were happy about it, as happy as you can be. Of course, maybe there's reasons for things having happened, but they were not so happy with certain things, I guess, based on things that took place. But we were getting along with everybody. We were getting along, and we were respected by everybody. We had no wars. Remember when I had the debate with Hillary Clinton? She said, look at him, look at that personality. He's going to cause wars. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars, and that's what happened. For 20 years, they were fighting ISIS. I defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. I got rid of ISIS 100%. 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and we had no wars, and we stopped the wars. We weren't getting along with a lot of countries. All of a sudden, North Korea.
All right, so I will try to get a different, let's see.
Serious nuclear power, but North Korea came along. Kim Jong-un, we got along very well. We got along very well with China until COVID. That was a little bit too much, as far as I was concerned. That was too much. Couldn't take that one. But we made a trade deal with China that I don't even talk about. $50 billion a year in product they bought from our farmers, our manufacturers. They used to buy 10. I got 50, and it was great. But COVID, I don't even talk about that because COVID was such a horrible thing. It started in the Wuhan labs, just as I said, the Wuhan labs. And it came out, I believe, through incompetence. I believe it was incompetence. Some people think it wasn't, but I believe it was. But regardless, it caused $60 trillion worth of damage and death all over the world, all over the world. And we did a fantastic job on that. We never got credit for that. Unbelievable job on that. We came up with things that nobody thought was possible. Don't forget, when it came in, nobody had an idea what it was. They didn't even use the word pandemic. Nobody had an idea. But we did a fantastic job. And we got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for our foreign policy. I think credit like nobody, very few people have gotten. And the press was very honest about it. They gave us very high marks on foreign policy, the Abraham Accords, so many different things we did. But we never got the kind of due that we should have for the COVID, or as I call it affectionately, the Chinese virus, the China virus, which is a much more accurate term. And despite that, the stock market, when we turned it over, the stock market was higher than it was prior to COVID coming in. It was an amazing thing. We did an amazing job, and we have so many people that worked on that, so many of the doctors, so many of the scientists that worked with us on that. It was really, really something. But there's never been an administration that had more success in so many different elements. We got the largest tax cuts in history. We have the largest regulation cuts in history. We rebuilt our military. And what happened, we rebuilt our entire military, and beautiful. We had jet fighters that were 53 years old, and we had all brand new jet fighters. And then after this other group of people that didn't know what they were doing, they took over, and we had that horrible surrender in Afghanistan. I call it a surrender. We took the soldiers out first. You know, I dealt with the leaders of the Taliban in Afghanistan. They were the ones that were causing the trouble. The press was very angry because they said, "Why are you calling them?" I said, because that's where the money is. And I said, that's where the problem is with the Taliban. And I spoke to Abdul. He's still the leader. Believe it or not, he's really the leader of Afghanistan, but he's the leader of the Taliban, a rough group. I say, don't ever shoot our soldiers again. Don't ever do it. Very interesting. What happened is that, we were having, during the Obama administration, previously, they were shooting a lot of our soldiers. And I let them know, I said, don't ever, ever let that happen. I said in a rather nasty fashion. We don't have to go into it tonight. For 18 months, we lost nobody in Afghanistan. And then we had that horrible, horrible withdrawal, where we lost 13 soldiers, 38 horribly wounded, left Americans behind. You know, we have Americans right now still behind. Call them hostages if you like. It was a terrible moment. We left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful equipment behind, jets and tanks and everything you can think of, goggles, night goggles. They didn't used to fight. They're good fighters. They didn't used to fight at night, but now they do because they have goggles. They have better goggles than we have. So I just want to tell you that led to a lot of bad things, and now the worst things are happening. The things that are happening now are unthinkable, and they're unthinkable at the border. We have millions of people invading our country. This is an invasion. This is the worst invasion probably. We've never had anything like it. No country has ever had anything like it. The number today could be 15 million people. And they're coming from rough places and dangerous places. And we had that shut down. We had everything going so beautifully. When Joe Biden goes to the beach, because somebody on his staff thinks he looks very good in a bathing suit, until he can't get his feet out of the sand or lift the chair, which weighs about 9 ounces. Joe Biden If he would have just left everything alone, he could have gone to the beach. He would have had a tremendous success at the border and elsewhere. So we're going to take back our country. We're going to make sure we are going to do it right. We're going to have the greatest economy ever in the history of our country. We're going to top what we did. We're going to become an energy center of the world. We were ready to become energy dominant, and they stopped that. They stopped that. But we're going to become energy dominant. We're going to pay off debt. We're going to do things that nobody thought was possible. You know, we hadn't done our second phase of the tax cuts. When we did the tax cuts, the Democrats fought us very hard. And now they say, well, I guess that was pretty good because we took in much more revenues after we cut taxes. And then we did all of those regulation cuts, and people were working, and everybody was happy, and we were all proud of our country. But we're going to win this election because we have no choice. If we lose the election, we're not going to have a country left. And we're going to do something. Thank you very much. We love you too. And we love our country. And we can't let this magnificent, some people call it an experiment. I don't call it an experiment. I just say this is a magnificent place, a magnificent country. And it's so sad to see how far it's come and gone. When you look at the depths of where it's gone, we can't let that happen. We're going to straighten it out. We're going to close our borders. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the inflation down. And we are going to make our country greater than ever before. And we're going to do it quickly. We're going to do it quickly. It's going to go fast. We have to get the criminals out. We have many, many criminals that have entered our country. We have people coming in from such bad places, and we're going to have to get them out. We have murderers that are being deposited into our country. We have drug dealers at the biggest and highest levels. They're coming into our country. We have people coming into our country that just shouldn't be here. But many, and I say many, large percentages, they come in through the caravans. They come in many different ways. Now we find out again, they come in through airplanes. We send them in. This is crazy. But they come into our country, we're going to stop them. We're going to close our borders. We're going to have to deport a lot of people, a lot of bad people, because our countries can't live like this. Our cities are choking to death. Our states are dying. And frankly, our country is dying. And we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you very much. It's been a big night. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard President Trump's victory speech. Hit subscribe if you're new to this channel. Please, I want everyone, Paul Bartlett, thank you, in Australia, thank you. I want everyone to remember something very important. In November, hopefully we'll have about 300,000 subscribers or so, and I'm going to have viewers like yourselves from the United States and around the world. I want you to remember to tune in to H.A. Goodman, November of 2024. We're going to celebrate every single day, okay? Especially when the night Trump is victorious over, I think, Hillary Clinton. So I've been pretty spot on in everything that I've been saying. I said there's going to be a unanimous Supreme Court decision. You're going to have Nikki Haley either tomorrow or the next couple of days endorse Trump, drop out officially. I said immunity is going to be a gift to Trump because, I mean, you could watch the segment prior to this one. He's going to get immunity for a speech. Then Democrats say, well, can he sell the planet to Martians? No, he can't. But he didn't commit a crime, though. That's the difference. The Supreme Court did not see an actual crime. So, be here in November. Hit subscribe and be here in November. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have such a celebration, just like we had today and yesterday. I mean, Trump is going, there's no way he's going to be defeated. There is no way that Donald Trump is going to be defeated. It's just a matter, and I'm telling you, it's just a matter of the temper tantrum, the apoplectic, hysterical temper tantrum from highly educated, morally superior, wonderful, wonderful liberal Democrats who don't care, by the way, that more people have lost their lives entering this country than at any other point in our nation's history. And not one picture from AOC. Arlene Calderon, hello. Thank you, Arlene. Thank you so much. Arlene Calderon, thank you. There is no way, there is absolutely no way that Trump loses. And Nikki Haley, who won D.C. and Vermont, I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. I used to be the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I can tell you that I wanted Bernie Sanders at one point because I wanted an anti-war, less militant foreign policy, which is what we got with Trump, first president to step foot in North Korea, Abraham Accords, Doha Agreement. Well, that was a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. Moved the embassy to Jerusalem. Very important for me and my background. Did a lot of amazing things in terms of foreign policy. We did not have a new war or military conflict with Trump. There wasn't an invasion in Europe with Trump. Gee, I wonder why. And we had a great economy, record low poverty, record highs in household median income, the working class. When you have the left, working class, man. Well, the working class was doing better under Trump. Fact. If you're on the far left and you happen to stumble upon this channel, please hit subscribe. The far left still reads my writing in the Huffington Post and elsewhere, Salon. So please hit subscribe. Even though I disagree with you, God bless you. And if you're on the far left and you think that Trump is a menace, the true authoritarians and despots, totalitarians, and militants are within the Democratic Party. Furthermore, more people have lost their lives entering this country. Had we listened to Trump, dreamers would have been citizens, we would have had a wall, and people would have saved, there would have been lives saved. But Nikki Haley, by the way, really quickly, we had record low poverty with Trump, but Nikki Haley, so the left should love Trump. If you're a Democratic socialist or communist, you should love Trump. The working class never did better than under Trump. We had record low poverty. That's the only selling point to being a socialist, is that you care about poor people. Well, we had less poor people with Trump. I want to thank Nikki Haley. This is Paul, this is for you. This is Bernard. I'm going to actually transmit Bernie Sanders' celebration. I want to celebrate Nikki Haley's victory in Vermont against the menace and totalitarian Donald Trump. This is Bernard Sanders. And although Nikki Haley was funded by the Koch brothers, and I actually have Trump's policies on the border, I agree with him, although I can't tell anyone, because they give me all the mishigas if I tell people. Actually, don't tell anybody, but Bernard Sanders and Trump agree on most things. But because I have sold my soul to the Democratic Party, I want to congratulate Nikki Haley. And I hope that Nikki Haley wins the 5,765 delegates needed to surpass the orange Cheeto Mussolini menace Trump. By the way, I just want to commend the DNC primary. Very fair and neutral. And the DNC emails were definitely a plot by the Vladimirs and the Kremlins. Although they were written by Democratic Party employees And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was a wonderful, wonderful individual, had to resign, which didn't have to happen. But Vladimir, if you're listening, I don't want your help when I run again in 8 years and the Democrats cheat me again. Anyway, Nikki Haley, congratulations. What can I do? What can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Nikki Haley won Vermont and D.C., so it's only a matter of time before she before she endorses Bali. Look, I mean, we already have headlines a couple months ago. She promised to protect Trump, so it's just a matter of time. Now, let's continue with the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reaction from the wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats. This is one of the best hosts on Fox News. Hit subscribe if you're new.
Down is epic. Democrats in the media over the U.S. Supreme Court's unanimous and historic ruling that states cannot just kick former President Donald Trump off the ballot. Some even suggesting that the court should be dissolved. Watch.
This is actually what I had been concerned about when I first heard about this case in Colorado. I had been concerned that should it go to the Supreme Court, they would rule this way.
I'd laugh if it weren't so sad.
Our colleague Melissa Murray has called this Supreme Court the YOLO court.
Not since Bush v. Gore have we seen a court that's had this many opportunities to interfere in the election.
I am not inspired and I'm not confident that that will produce a result that's good for American democracy.
The court went way further than it needed to go.
It's 5-4. This is a 5-4 ruling on part of it.
This is actually a 5-4 decision.
I think what we saw was a court where justices that behaved in a partisan manner, and that disappoints me.
The criticism of the court is that they're playing interference.
The Supreme Court handed Trump a second gift in as many weeks on a constitutional technicality.
The conservative majority Supreme Court that seems to be playing the game as if they are on Team MAGA.
And he doesn't just get the presidency thanks to the court trying to help him get it.
Can you imagine today if your name is Sotomayor? Or, I don't know, Ketanji Brown Jackson?
How epic is that, ladies and gentlemen? How beautiful is that? And imagine when Trump wins in November. Imagine when Trump wins in November. Imagine when Trump wins in November. How is a former 90s ESPN announcer going to, and I still love him. I'm sorry. I've had enough of De Niro. He thinks he's like Marlon Brando, and I always like Pacino better. But you know what? I still love a certain 90s ESPN announcer or host who wanted to, I think, dissolve the Supreme Court, I believe. Democrats are going to have another loss in the Supreme Court. They're going to give Trump immunity for the speech, at least partial immunity. They're not going to be able to convict Trump, which they feel is interference. See, they think if they don't convict Trump, that it's interference. So, the despots and totalitarians and authoritarians, yet again, don't understand the definition of democracy. They've made it into a synonym. They've redefined democracy as whatever is good for the Democratic Party. Pony Soldier, thank you. Thank you. And so he's going to get immunity. Watch the segment today that I did. He will get immunity from the Supreme Court. He's already achieved immunity. He's already gotten immunity. Okay? Because the fact that they're going to look at it means they're not comfortable with a president being indicted because of a speech. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not comfortable with a president being indicted because of a speech. I want to say it again. He's covered by the Constitution and Supreme Court precedent to perform a speech. That is going to be a monumental loss for Democrats. Okay? And Clarence Thomas and Roberts and Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, let's see, if Tom and Alito, they're all going to give Trump immunity on a speech. And I've been right on pretty much everything. I said that the Georgia case would completely unravel before the prosecutors, we found out, had a romantic relationship. I said that there would be a 9-0 Supreme Court. I said that Nikki Haley, well, you'll see, she's going to back Trump very soon. But I said that not one indictment is going to get to Trump. I also said that he'd win on appeal, and now he has the ability to get loans in New York, and he still can they can still do away in the second appeal with the $450 million. And he'll probably get some other judgments his way. So they have consistently lost to Trump. It's been an unmitigated, unparalleled political disaster and catastrophe for Democrats. You'd have to be a complete imbecile to think that Trump tried to foment or engage in some kind of rebellion. Okay, but let's continue here. Excuse me.
Can you imagine having all of those extreme Democrats say that you're not real? We've been there before, haven't we? Mm-hmm. You're not real. Whatever your perception is, it didn't happen that way. You should have voted the way that you were expected to vote, not 9-0, not with Republicans. You want to divide a country? They're professional at it. Despite the court's ruling, Democrats now, some of them, are still determined to keep Trump off now a federal ballot. Here's Congressman Jamie Raskin.
Most people have no clue that in
the Supreme Court punted and said it's up to Congress to act. And so I am working with a number of my colleagues, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Eric Swalwell, to...
His colleague resigned from the DNC primary not long ago because of emails that said that they railroaded and cheated Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was cheated. Just want to let you know, by the way, I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. The unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. What they did to Bernie Sanders is the reason, thank God, Trump is going to win in November of 2024.
Revive legislation that we had to set up a process by which we could determine that someone who committed insurrection is disqualified by Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Lisa, Eric Swalwell is going to work on keeping Trump off the ballot?
Well, so, okay, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I don't think that Democrats even believe this threat to democracy narrative. They're just laying the groundwork so that the ends justify the means. So that Trump is so evil, he is so bad, so that anything is justifiable to try to take him down and stop him from becoming a president, even trying to remove him from the ballot, taking all these extreme measures. And it's very clear that Democrats want to be the ones that decide the outcome of this election, not voters. I mean, even since the Supreme Court decision, you had the Colorado Secretary of State lament that, it's up to the voters to save the country. You've had Obama's former chief advisor, David Axelrod, said something similar. I mean, that's how elections work. It should be in the hands of voters, but they clearly want to deny Americans that right. And it just shows how power hungry they are, how power driven they are, that they're willing to do anything to try to stop Trump and keep power in this country.
So, Kayleigh, I thought about this yesterday, as we were learning all that was happening with Donald Trump.
We're going to hear right now from Jonathan Turley and Andrew McCarthy, two legal scholars. But I'm telling you, Trump is going to win, possibly in a landslide. And there's going to be a stock market crash, unfortunately. And I think that Hillary Clinton will replace Biden. I told you that Biden would be replaced years back. Now everyone is talking about it. Hit subscribe right now if you're new to this channel. I've been telling people things that are taking place, and I haven't been right about everything. I'm not Nostradamus, but I've been telling people exactly what would take place, and it's taking place. Hit subscribe if you're new.
All right, Professor Turley, is it all these cases done?
I think they're all dead as Dillinger. I mean, when you read this opinion, there is no dissent that the states cannot enforce the 14th Amendment provision. The only disagreement, as we've been discussing, is whether the court should have gone even further to sort of close off future arguments or challenges without an action from Congress. The majority is saying that, look, you need Congress to act here before you can enforce this provision. Some of the justices felt they really didn't have to deal with that question. They didn't say, by the way, that they disagree with the conclusion necessarily, as much as that is a bit of a reach beyond where they need to go. And the dissent is saying, look, we have a long tradition of minimizing our footprint, of trying to stay confined to the question at hand. That's not much of a disagreement. You know, you keep in mind that for months now, this has been literally called an unassailable theory. Various professors and columnists have been saying that the only thing that will stop the disqualification of Donald Trump are the conservative justices acting as political robots. Well, this is a unanimous court rejecting that unassailable theory.
What's interesting, Andy, is this is obviously, no doubt, a big win for President Trump. A big win at the highest court in the land. It also makes the Biden team have to live in reality, that these court cases are not going to be the thing that gets Trump off the ballots or out of the race, that they are going to have to run against him. And what I'm wondering is, and I know you can't tell the future, crystal ball, but there are other cases that President Trump has asked the Supreme Court to look at. Would this ruling, with this kind of result and unanimity, at least on the fact that the states can't do this unilaterally unless Congress acts in those other provisions, which they're not going to do, does that mean that President Trump might have a better position going into the court on those other cases as well?
In 2024.
I don't think so, Dana. I think, first of all, it seems to me that in terms of minimizing its footprint, as Jonathan referred to, what this court wants to make clear is it is not deciding the 2024 election. This decision has been crafted in a way that, depending on what happens in the election, the court is essentially saying, don't come back to us after the election and have Democrats in Congress trying to disqualify Trump under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. That's done. We're not doing that. However, they're gearing up for a September trial of Trump in the January 6th case. You can see that already from the reporting last week, where the Jack Smith prosecution team basically trashed what's previously been known as the unwritten 60-day rule, where the Justice Department supposedly won't take action that might influence an election. They said last week that's not operative. The New York Times, in its reporting about this particular case that came down today, noted that if the court kept the same pace with respect to the immunity case as they've kept with this Section 3 case, that would open up the door to have a September trial of the January 6th case in Washington. So I think the Democrats are very much banking on court action.
Let me start over. Andrew McCarthy is an amazing legal scholar, and that ain't going to happen, though. Even if they try to get the September ruling, they're not going to get a September. They're not going to get a September trial because the Supreme Court is going to give Trump partial immunity on a speech. They're looking at the case, and they can take their time on the case as well. So that ain't going to happen. So, and Andrew McCarthy knows a lot more about law and the Constitution than I do. But I'm telling you, if the Supreme Court gave Trump initial victories on immunity and a 9-0 decision, unanimous decision on the absurd unconstitutional Colorado ban, they ain't going to allow a trial that influences 2024. These are despots. These are totalitarians. These are authoritarians. Democrats are the very things that they claim Trump embodies. They embody the very accusations against Trump. Okay? And they're looking at immunity for a speech. Do you understand? Trump is being indicted on a speech. He's not even being indicted on a rebellion. If people should read the indictment, we could read it now, but it's boring. It's written by a producer at CNN or MSNBC, or a Democratic Party consultant. They're trying to say that Trump was no longer a president. And he was no longer a president because he was not speaking to the United States, the people of the United States. He was speaking to his constituents who are rabid maniacs, absolute rabid maniacs who just wanted him to stay in power. And you know what? I will. I agree with you. I will. Thank you. But what took place, ladies and gentlemen, is that Trump is being indicted in D.C. on a speech. The Supreme Court is looking. First of all, they wanted to fast track the decision by the Supreme Court regarding immunity, and they denied that request. Jack Smith has a terrible record. He's like 0-3 in major cases. Nicholas, thank you. Nicholas, thank you. And Paul in Australia. My Australian crew is strong. I appreciate it. They wanted to fast track the immunity decision 2 months ago. The Supreme Court said no. Then Jack Smith said, let's go to two lower courts. The two lower courts ruled against Trump again. The two lower courts, Nicholas and Paul and everyone here, to my viewers in Iceland, everyone, the UK, they ruled against Trump twice in lower courts. Guess what happened in the Supreme Court yet again? He won. They said, we're not going to listen to the lower courts who ruled against Trump regarding immunity. We're going to decide on our own. So the Supreme Court could have said Trump is not immune from going to prison for a speech. They said, because of endless Supreme Court precedent, we're going to look at the case. Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Barrett, Roberts, Alito, Clarence Thomas, they ain't going to allow Democrats to indict and imprison Trump on a speech that had literally nothing to do with criminal behavior. The speech was, he even said the word peaceful. Go peacefully. Absolutely nothing to do with criminal behavior. And if you listen to Vivek Ramaswamy, which I do, I think he's brilliant. There were some shenanigans that day. So, and doors were opened if you look at the exculpatory evidence that was withheld. So, ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow, like at around 4 p.m. Eastern. Ladies and gentlemen, this winning streak isn't going to end. There's nothing that they can do to stop Donald J. Trump. Nothing. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. God forbid the unthinkable. And you still get Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., anyone named Trump. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you so much, everybody. Paul in Australia. Nicholas in Australia. Thank you so much. To my viewers in the Philippines, in Australia, in Canada, in the UK, Iceland, Nepal, everywhere around the world, Nigeria. Thank you so very much for watching. Korea, thank you so much for watching. And in the US, obviously.